And the second half, we're actually going to be talking about our business opportunity because we've actually partnered up with this superfood company, and we are professional network marketers as well, as I'm a fourth grade teacher and my wife is.
So I'm a fourth year medical student. I'm also a yoga teacher, and just so excited to be here with you guys. It's such an honor. A little bit of background about me. I went to graduate school and was going to get my PhD in aging. And then I decided that that wasn't the best form of service that I could be for people. So I decided that, you know what, forget it. Let's not do the PhD thing. Let's do the medical school thing. And now I'm a med student. So I left with my master's and I'm almost finished with med school. So one more year and I'll be a doctor. And just a little bit of why I sort of partnered up with my husband in this is I strongly feel that today in our healthcare industry, we have, thank you, John, we have a serious problem with chronic illness. And I feel a lot of it is attributable to lifestyle choices and to lack of encouraging certain ways of living, certain ways of being. And just, I feel so many of our issues can be greatly resolved if we were to just kind of take a look at what we're consuming and what we're encouraging. That being said, I'm not yet a physician. And even if I were, I would always say that if you have any questions about your own personal health, to divert those to your own family doctor. And nothing we say in here is meant to be in any form medical advice. We're just two people wanting to share our experience with you about how much these superfoods have changed and transformed our lives, what we hope to bring to the table in the future for people, and just how we want to be a part of a wonderful community who's up to big things.
Yes. And on that note, we're driven by our mission, and our mission, along with others that align with us, are to get the world healthy. You know, it's simple yet super powerful. And we're a growing community, and we're looking for like minded individuals that want to do that and join us and support us on our mission. And we're going to let you know how you can do that if that's something you want to do. So,
and one more thing I want to add is I wanted to share something that happened for me. This was something that if you were in the Zoom that I was sharing with a while ago, at the top leaders of our team were doing a Zoom a while ago, and I was one of their testimonials. We're going to have an amazing testimonial today by JL, who actually just posted in our group chat. So refer to that for more information. But I was sharing how through all of medical school, I struggled greatly with anxiety and depression and insomnia. I think a lot of people don't realize what it takes to become a doctor. And I feel like I didn't have the tools to break that down and take care of it. And I realized like I can do so much for my body and my mind with yoga, with plugging into the outside world, and with food. Hippocrates has a great quote, and it says, "Let food be thy medicine." And it's very, very, I think, central to what's going on in the world right now. And it's what I hope to bring to the table as a doctor that's a Western practicing doctor, and how we can kind of bridge the two worlds. And my anxiety and depression has been under control ever since I've been, consuming these foods alongside with taking care of my anxiety and depression from a Western standpoint. So I think that it's really powerful. I'm so excited to share my experience. Thank you all for sharing the space. And without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started and tell you about these amazing products.
awesome. You want to start off with the power shake?
Okay, so so we're going to talk about the ultimate lifestyle transformation. The reason we choose to do that is because it's when people ask, what do you recommend as a good starting point? Like, I just have no idea where to begin. We always say it's a good idea to start with the ultimate lifestyle transformation, which is a system of 5 of our staple products, 5 of the products that we take on a maintenance basis as well. And we're going to individually discuss each of these products. Of course, there's a whole plethora of amazing products and superfoods on the website. You can talk to us individually about those as well. And of course, at the end, we're also here to answer questions. And please feel free to put your questions in the chat. And if anybody wants to chime in and help answer those, that'd be amazing. So the Power Shake. So this here is the Power Shake. This is what single-handedly got me entirely hooked on these products. This was last year during COVID. My husband brought up to me that he's been thinking about doing this ultimate lifestyle transformation for so long. And, he's like, I feel like the world's kind of falling apart. What do you think about if we were to try this together? And he has a health mentor that he follows very closely. And so when he made the recommendation and he got his endorsement, my husband was really excited and was like, okay, we've got to try it. So I said, okay, sure, let's give it a go. So this is super yummy. Oh, we have somebody to admit here. Ashley is coming in. Okay, thank you. And this is a green power shake. So it is the equivalent. So one serving of this, which is 6 tablespoons or a 4th cup, is the equivalent of 6 superfood green salads. That is like more vegetables and greenery than I can even like comprehend. And I fell in love with this particular product because for me, it was very difficult to wrap my mind around the idea of going to the farmers markets, going to Sprouts, going to Trader Joe's, getting all of these greens. Are they organic? Are they not organic? Where did they get them? It's kind of a gamble. You never really know. Coming home, washing them. I mean, I was like, I do not have time for this. I'm a med student. I'm always in the hospital, or I'm in the library, or I'm in some form busy. And so when I saw this and I saw how potent it was and what ingredients it contained and like how amazingly it's packaged and everything, I was like, I got to give this a go. And this has been a staple for me. When I'm in the hospital and I see everybody scrambling and stuffing their face with chips, I'm like, I've got an alternative for you. This is actually good for you. It's good for the mind, body, and soul. And so I personally love this. Is my favorite product. So do you want to talk a little bit about how this is made and sort of the packaging and all of that?
Yes, absolutely. So as you can see, this is in what is actually biodegradable hemp. It's compostable as well. So the company that we partnered up with, it's called Purium, which stands for pure and premium. They're on the forefront and they're actually stewards of this environment that we all live in. And we're not just talking about it. So last year, we saved over 60,000 pounds of plastic that would have otherwise been in the landfills or in the oceans. And we're actually transitioning to 100% plastic-free business in 2021. So rather than having a big bulky plastic jar, we have these compostable Terra pouches. And it's amazing just being in congruent values with a company that is way ahead of its time and really blazing the trails. So you may be saying, okay, that's awesome, but I could go to Sprouts and I see some powder too, all organic and all that stuff. You do. So there is the difference. The main difference is how we create this amazing powder I call the liquid sunshine. And it's because we have our own farms. We manufacture everything on site. Okay. So basically, for example, and it's how it's grown and how it's created, this dehydrated powder. Okay. Most powders are dehydrated with high heat. So it actually kills the vitamins and minerals and the nutrients that are in the stuff that you're juicing. Okay. So we have our farms in Utah. They're at, I'm going to give you some description here. So just picture this. Okay. You're on a farm about 6,000 feet elevation in Utah, right next to a volcano. And about 100 years ago, it spewed a bunch of ash. So this is very fertile. It's actually a lake bed, a dried up lake bed, and about 90 feet of volcanic ash. Underneath that, you have fresh spring water coming out of the ground. That's what we're watering this wheatgrass with. Okay, the soil's tested, the air's tested, the water's tested. There's no other farms within hundreds of miles, so we know everything is kosher and organic as can be. Now we juice all that wheatgrass that we have in these big masticating juicers, and then we actually pump it up to these 200-foot silos. I love telling this story because it's amazing. And this is actually like new technologies, okay? So you pump it all the way up to these silos and then it's misted down in the middle. And lining these silos are fans that are blowing 78 degrees air. So room temperature air is actually evaporating the water out of the juice, making these little amazing powder, this powder that drops down that we call the liquid sunshine. So what's captured there is actual sunlight. And all the nutrients are staying there. It's considered raw living because of this. Anything under 115 degrees and how it's created is considered raw living. We didn't want to go 115 degrees because that's too much heat for us. We want to save as many of those digestive enzymes, those nutrients and those minerals as we possibly can. And that's another reason why this is just the top of the game right here.
Yes, and actually, if you were to put this in some dirt and wait 1,000 days, this would actually biodegrade, which I am all about biodegradation and like every time I go camping, I'm like, we got to take biodegradable wipes because I go out camping and I see trash on the floor and I go,
Yeah.
come on, people, like this is our planet. We have to make a difference for it. So I'm really passionate about the fact that this company is going plastic free. It really allows us to be better environmental stewards in the best way that we possibly can. And it's hard not to support a mission like that.
Yeah, exactly. Let's move on to the next superfood.
Okay, so these right here are called the Super Amino 23s. And these are basically a series of amino acids. And so I promised I'd talk a little bit about the science, so I'm going to. So our body consumes proteins, our body uses proteins for virtually every physiological process. And amino acids are the building blocks of protein. So if you were to break down a protein, you would arrive at an amino acid. If you were to combine amino acids, you would make a protein chain. So this is 100% vegan amino acid. So it's friendly for those that are, let's say, completely plant-based to vegetarian to they consume meat. So it really just kind of, what's nice about it is that there's like nobody that it doesn't serve. So this is one of my favorite products. I consumed this. I started working out actually after medical school. And Tina's asking a question. What are the Terra pouches made from? And where are they made? That's a good question. Do you know the answer to that?
They're made of hemp.
Where they're made, I'm not 100% sure about, but we can get back to you on that, unless you know.
Yep. I don't know off the top of my head.
We can tell you.
Maybe someone in the chat could help you out as well, but we'll get that question answered.
So I consume these every time before I go on a workout. And what's amazing about them is I noticed that while I was working out, I was also building muscle. I was also noticing tightness to my skin. One thing that I really pride myself on, and anyone that knows me really well knows that I'm a crazy skin fanatic. I care a lot about my skin. I care a lot about my husband's skin, our future babies. I really do think a lot of what you consume manifests itself on your skin and how healthy you are. I mean, that's why they say, look at that person, they're glowing. Like, what are they doing? Well, they're sleeping, they're exercising, they're happy, and they're eating good food. That's the formula, really. So this is a good one. And do you want to talk? You want to talk a little bit about this one?
Yeah, well, that was awesome, actually, the science. She's the science guru, and I'm just full of energy because I love the product so much. So I'm the layman over here. So I love these. They're called Super Amino 23s because in 23 minutes, they're actually absorbed into your muscles and they maintain and build muscle without having to go to the gym. They were originally created for hospital patients that couldn't eat. So they were actually, put through their IVs, people with stomach cancer or in comas, and they were actually maintaining and building muscle in the hospital bed. So very powerful. And I love it because there's a 99% utilization rate, which is absolutely amazing.
So yeah, and that's an important point because when you consume like food products, a lot of times the entirety of that is not absorbed. And people that take vitamins and supplements, sometimes they know that, sometimes they don't. So not everything you eat is absorbed, right? And so it's even less absorbed, and we're going to talk about why when we talk about the next product. But one thing that he brought up, when it comes to parenteral nutrition, which means getting nutrition from an IV source in the hospital, you'll notice that patients' bodies their muscles start to atrophy because when you don't use your muscles and you don't use your skeletal system, it kind of sort of starts to diminish quite a bit. So this really helped out with patients that were in that particular predicament, which was why it was so interesting to me in the first place. And it also helps people that are trying to actually build muscle mass, like me, in actually achieving that from a dietary standpoint, as well as being in the gym and actually doing the work.
Thank you. And this bottle right here is going to be transitioning into this disposable, biodegradable package as well. So we're on our way. Like I said, we're transitioning. So we're going to transition into pretty much a revolutionary product, in my opinion. And this is called the Biomedic. And this is what we use to clean out our gut. And as some of you know, all healing starts in the gut. It considered our second brain. It houses, I might be botching this, so 70% of the immune function is coming from the gut.
Oh, well, yes. And there's a lot of serotonin produced in the gut.
Yes.
So it's the way that your stomach is, not your stomach, your whole gastrointestinal system is really important for optimal function. And a lot of people have GI problems. I mean, I've noticed like a lot, even talking to you guys, like lots of people come and go, I've got this GI issue, I've got that GI issue. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like it's not the same in other countries. So what are we doing here in the US that sort of begs the question.
And that brings us into why this is such a revolutionary product, is because Biomedic is the only product, and Purium is the only company that I've known of that has even ventured to try and create a product, and successfully has been able to prove that that pulls out glyphosate from your body. If you don't know what glyphosate is, it's the main ingredient in Roundup, the weed killer. So it's a toxic herbicide. And all of our farms in the US are basically sprayed with this. So 99% of people have glyphosate in us, and our bodies can't get rid of it on their own. We can't cook it out, you can't wash it off, and your body doesn't know how to extract it. So basically, it impedes your gut's function to absorb nutrients and minerals. And I'm going to let her just talk about a little bit more about the science, what that means, and then we'll go from there.
So I think that this is where it's really important to kind of understand. And if you want to talk more about this, I will nerd out with you all day, the physiology and the anatomy. So when I did anatomy lab in med school, we went through all body. We went through every single crevice and corner, and it was one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had. But basically, to like really bring it down into a nutshell, you have a small bowel and a large bowel, and you have a stomach. And a lot of the absorption that takes place happens in your small bowel, right? Your small intestine is what it's called. And if you were to take out your small intestine and stretch it out, I feel like it's probably as tall as a house. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that, but it is very, very large in terms of its length from tip to tip. And that's why it's been nicely condensed down to fit inside our body, so that it's just a very efficient system, so that we're not, 12 feet tall or whatever. And so how the reasoning for that is because the body has created a system in and of itself that has a large surface area. Why surface area important? Well, surface area is important for absorption, right? So because across two different planes, absorption can happen by way of channels, by way of diffusion. And if that surface area is somehow decreased, then we can assume that there's not as much absorption. So now, not only is there a wide length, but there's also these projections, these tiny hair-like projections on the small bowel lining it that are called villi. And so they kind of look like little hairs like this, and they increase the absorptive capacity of the small bowel itself. On top of those villi are what's called microvilli. So these villi, on top of those villi, on top of the already widespread surface area that you have with the length of your small bowel, allows for absorption. And so the studies that have been done here have kind of demonstrated that glyphosate, this toxic herbicide, can kind of accumulate and impact the absorptive capacity of food, and thereby not allowing for adequately feeling like you're full. Because if you've got something that's impeding this surface area, then you're not going to absorb all the nutrients of your food. And so a lot of times, at least what I noticed in medical school, was I was never satisfied. I had to eat and eat and eat and eat and constantly eat to feel like I was full, like I was replenished. And so the Biomedic itself has been shown in this particular study that we're describing to eliminate 75% of the glyphosate that has accumulated in the standard American diet. So we're talking like standard American diet. We're not even talking like, like eating greens very often, or not eating processed nitrate-filled meats, and so on and so forth. So you can imagine the kind of amazing results that you'd get by consuming, let's say, a much, much less tampered with diet, which is what we're sort of pushing towards. But if you don't even want to, this is one of those products that can really, really help in the elimination of glyphosate. So I think it's pretty profound.
And the C-reactive protein, you want to talk about that as well?
Sure. So C-reactive protein, just like ESR, if you're familiar with that, is an inflammatory marker that a lot of times physicians use to assess how much inflammation is in the body, especially when it comes to diagnosing autoimmune illnesses. And it has been shown, and there's been a correlation, that the consumption of Biomedic has actually produced a noticeable decrease in the C-reactive protein, so in the marker for inflammation within the human body. So it's pretty amazing stuff.
Yes.
I love it. And people say, if I had to get one thing, what would it be? I usually say it's the Biomedic. But don't just do one thing, because everything works so well synergistically together. So
thank you. All right, let's go to our next superfood, which is just one ingredient here, and it's Tart organic cherries. And this is called the apothecary. So do you want to talk a little bit about it?
Sure. So this is deliciousness in a bottle, honestly. So I am Persian. My background is Persian. And in Iran, we have a very similar type of product. So when people come into our homes, it's customary to take a little bit of a very, very, very viscous fluid, syrup, and take like a tablespoon of it and add some water, mix it up with some ice, and offer it to your guest. And not only is it really potent, it's also really yummy. And cherries, if you're not familiar with cherries contain a lot of antioxidants, which help in eliminating free radical damage that builds up via various physiologic processes that happen, right? So apothecary is just that. So there's two ways of consuming this. You can either have it just by itself, and it's so delicious. It packs a punch because it's just pure tart cherries, or you can have it as a tea, because I'm the kind of person that likes to drink sleepy time tea before I go to bed. This has absolutely replaced that. It's also been shown through some of the research that, so there's this gland inside our brain. It's called the pineal gland. The pineal gland is responsible for the secretion of melatonin, which is a hormone that helps regulate your circadian rhythm, right? So with all of the noise pollution and the light pollution and the phone pollution and everything that's going on in our lives, in our day-to-day, it's hard to kind of have a wind down. But this has been really helpful in getting me going, like, okay, I'm having my apothecary tea. It's time to go to bed. It kind of helps calm me down. And it aids in the secretion, because of the cherries, in the release of melatonin from the pineal gland, which as you get older, is less and less. So I love this. And it also cherries help with your skin. So cherries are one of those fruits that really, really help with the glow of your skin, if you will. So I'm all for this one.
Yes. So the whole, like the underlying themes of the ultimate lifestyle transformation are detox, nourish, repair. So the detox is with the biomedic, the nourish is with the power shake, and the aminos, and repair is going to be with this. Well, aminos are going to repair your connective tissues as well. And then repair is also going to happen with the tart cherry juice. It's going to put you into that deep stage 3 sleep, to where your cells, right, on a cellular level, they're going to get the rest they need to repair, because they have functions as well. They're just like us. We're made up of trillions of cells. They have jobs to do. They need to get nourished and fed, and they need sleep. So as you can tell, this is an amazing, complete program. The last superfood we want to talk about is called Super Cleansar. And this is for all of, if you feel bloated, or if you wake up and you have the bags under your eyes,
puffy,
groggy. Yeah, it's because we have parasites in us. And, however we get them. We're made up of, a bunch of different bacteria, and some of them are good, some of them are bad. And these parasites, we want to get rid of them. So go ahead and talk a little bit about what the super cleanser is. Powerful herbs that basically gets rid of the parasites.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say, is that all of this is food. So there's no aspects of any of this that we're sharing that is not food driven. And the components of it are chicory root. What's the other component to it?
Humic and fulvic acid.
Okay, right. So it's not, so these aren't like your traditional medications, supplements. They're just food, which is really what I think is where we need to kind of angle things. And I will say that if you are concerned about anything at any point, it's good to just bring up to your doctor, but they'll look at the label and go, okay, it's food. And again, there's reactivity with food. So, just be aware of that. I just want to say that just to make sure I cover my bases. But I was consuming the Super Cleansar. It has a little oregano in it too. And oregano is a natural antiviral as well. So it's just a really nice combination of 5 products. We don't have any because we ran out of the Super Cleansar. But it comes in a similar pack to the Biomedic, and it looks very similar. And I kind of like the smell of it. I think it's got fennel in it, maybe.
Yeah, I think it does.
I don't know, but it smells good.
And so basically, you are going to incorporate these superfoods into your daily routine. And then you can also eat other. You're not just consuming this. Okay. We don't want to starve you. That's not the whole point.
Yes.
The whole point is to incorporate this awesome stuff while you're creating your own healthy organic meals, and having, what we call flex foods, which are healthy organic snacks in the form of whole food. And all of that working together in a truly complete / holistic way. And that's how we get such amazing results in such a small time. Within these 30-day times, we're seeing, pictures of people and, us, just people that we've been able to help. They're losing weight. It's not a weight loss program. It's not a specific diet. It's actually a lifestyle. So we want to really incorporate that into our daily life and keep going.
Yeah.
After that, do our maintenance program the next month and the next month, because that's when you're really gonna, live the lifestyle. We don't want a 1 month, and then just go back to eating fast food every day, because then you're just gonna get what you had before.
Yeah. And you know what really blows my mind? I think that for me, one thing that was really pivotal was in medical school, the thing that I thought I needed on long shifts. We're talking, I was there one time, Christmas Eve, like all night, and I was very upset. I was crying. I was crying because we had patients coming into the ER, and I was like, I don't want to be here. I'm not meant for the night shift and all this stuff. And I was so hungry because my body was just like, you need to go to sleep. What's going on? Like, I don't know. And I drank so much coffee. I had so many donuts, and I just felt so disgusted. I was like, this can't be right. This can't be fuel. This is not serving me. I literally would drive home like a zombie and pass out. And I'd go to myself, I am telling people how to live their lives. I'm telling people what foods to consume. I'm telling people, hey, if you want to get your diabetes under control, let's look at what you're eating. But just saying it's not enough, right? You actually have to be an example and embody that. And we want to do that for our children. Like our children, they're going to be so excited to go get nuts at Sprouts. They're going to be like lining up to get nuts. You know what I mean? And so if their friends introduce them to jelly beans, like that's okay. But our kids are going to be like, I say no to the jelly beans, even though sometimes I say yes to the jelly beans. But it's just all about that. Like, how can I make the biggest impact? And I can't make an impact if I'm an overweight physician that doesn't take care of my mental health, that doesn't get sleep, that wears my sleeplessness, my tiredness, my jadedness as a badge of honor. And I just never saw any authenticity or helpfulness in that for anyone. So we have just teamed up to make it our mission to bring health and wealth into people's lives. And so I'm just, as you can see, very passionate. Exactly, John, lead by example, like be, and why would people take your advice if you didn't, right? I always take the advice of those I admire or I think are better than me. And they always say, surround yourself in a room of people that are smarter than you, and you will always continue to progress. So that being said, we want to introduce our testimonial.
Yes. So we definitely want to introduce our testimonial, Miss JL Serrano. And after that, we're going to talk about and switch gears and talk about our business opportunity. First and foremost, we got to introduce Miss JL. We call her Mama J. She is a rising leader in our partnership, and she's had amazing transformations since she's been using these products as well. How are you, Mama J?
I'm good. Thanks, guys, for the beautiful introduction. I'm humbled. My face is turning red. So I'll share a little bit of back history so you guys get an idea where my story starts from and why I'm at where I'm at now. I worked for several years in the nightlife and entertainment industry, and actually worked as an live event producer as well for large scale festivals. We launched Rehab Pool Party back in Vegas 2000. So needless to say, very, very image focused, and also ridiculous hours and ridiculous things that we put our body to be able to maintain those hours. And, sooner or later, I started to feel the repercussions of all of those lifestyle choices. Drinking being one of them. I should also mention that I have an autoimmune condition called, I have psoriasis. I've dealt with that, and also little bouts of eczema, which, I know in the grand scale of things, it's something that's going on inside the body, and it's, they call the skin like the third kidney. So it's, I knew once I started having these horrible flares, which was like about 5 years ago, something was up and I needed to get answers. And unfortunately, when I sought out professional help from specialists, they just treated it like wet spaghetti. They kept throwing things at me to see like what would stick. And, despite tests and so forth, they could only give me theories, maybe it's this or maybe it's that, let's give her this. So it's steroids, it's pain pills. It's, and I also have ADHD. So they're like, oh yeah, that's getting worse. Let's up that dose too. Let's make her a real fun person to be around. It's like, it was kind of, I laugh at it because it was literally a circus inside my head. Trying just to like get your cognitive function to like just come together and create thought, short-term memory, any of that stuff. It's like all the things that we take for granted were ripped away like almost overnight. And it was scary. It was really scary. So, it took a while for me to kind of like wake up and go, you know what? Nobody's got any answers, and they just keep raising these doses on me, and it's like making me more dependent. I could feel that like, God, this is not the root of the problem. I want answers. I'm an answer person. And I was like, I'm just gonna have to like figure this out and go through it. I knew it was gonna be rough, but it couldn't be any worse than it was. I didn't want to be on these drugs anymore, and it was doing horrible things. The drugs were doing things to my body. The side effects started to take hold, and it messes with your bones, your skin, everything started to change. I started to lose hair. It was, a very sobering experience. So, long story short, I started, I got mad basically and just went looking for answers. And fortunately, by way of vanity, I ended up in the office of a functional medicine doctor. I had actually wanted to see her because I had gained so much weight from all the prednisone I was taking. I was like, God, I'm like 40 years old and I look like I'm 60, like I need to do something. So I went to see her about alternative, forms of holistic treatment for weight loss. And in that visit, found basically like a soulmate, somebody that was actually listening to me. The first thing she did when I walked in the door was give me a big hug and tell me, how long have you been? She said, how long have you been on the prednisone? Because she could see it. I looked like I had the little oval face going on. And so I got, she put me on a really, really strict diet. It was an elimination diet, which is basically, I went from being, a Latina living in East LA, eating what Latinas in East LA eat, to vegan, like raw vegan overnight. And it was rough. It was rough, but I was determined. And I was like, nobody's going to take me down. No way. Like, especially this. So I went through it and I had saw a lot of progress. Things started to change. And then we got some test results in. And fortunately for me, this woman like reads between the lines and ran specific tests. And we found in one of the chemical marker tests that my gut was so riddled with glyphosate that it had flattened the little fibrous like tissue that's along the inside of your intestinal walls that pull the nutrition out of out of your food. I wasn't pulling any nutrition. It had matted it down like an oil slick, and everything was just passing through. So the majority of my issue was I was extremely malnourished. And all of these things were a result, just getting worse and worse and worse. And on top of it, then I was putting prescription drugs in my body. So my body was like, what is going on? Of course. So, but, not a lot of people think of these things, to read between those lines, which is, why Marjan is going to make a big difference in the industry. But so fast forward, I did that, and I was making progress, but then came into play my professional life. I didn't have time to go to Whole Foods, Erewhon, and all that 4 times a week to buy organic products, produce, and wash it, prep it, juice every day. I make the meals in my home for my family, so it was not only me. Everybody was following suit to show support, but it's like, yeah, thanks guys, but now I'm doing this stuff. It's like a second job, so anyway, like, it was like, man, what can I take? I needed to find something. With convenience, but without derailing all my progress or hindering any further progress. So enter, like, SEMA from Purium. Like my friend Amber turned me on to Troy, the holistic health, the health nut guy, and he introduced me to SEMA. And then it was just like snowballed from there. And SEMA was like, she was on it, man. She was like, no, you're gonna, like, you'll be fine. If it doesn't work out, you can return it, like read it, do your research, don't take my word for it. She sent me all the documentation. I did research it. I researched the company, Dave, where the farms were, like practices. Do they test the air? Do they test the water? I'm that person. So, anyway, I was sold. I'm like, what do I have to lose? These products are so clean. They're cleaner than the groceries I'm getting at the store because they're only passing through like 2 hands. So why not? Tried it. And I sent Marjan the picture. The first picture was what I looked like when I started the Ultimate Lifestyle Transformation in January of last year. And that I had already dropped weight. That was with the functional medicine doctor. The second one in the middle is at the end of my 30 days. By the end of that 30 days, I had lost about 25 pounds. Most of it was inflammation. And once I lost all that inflammation and those markers went down, that C-reactive protein, like if you're on a scale from 0 to 5, I was about a 4.5. And that felt, I'm like maybe in a 1. By the end of this. It was ridiculous. It just went away. And once that went away, I started dropping weight. I started thinking clearly. I slept through the night. I no longer was like gritting my teeth from pain that was like just subconsciously doing it. So many things started to happen that I was just over the moon. And that last picture was, I did an extra 10 days. So I stacked it. I did 40 days because I did another parasite cleanse at the end just to make sure that I got all those little bugs out, because that was something that I was dealing with too. Nothing too serious, but we all have parasites. Walk barefoot, you touch things, you're gonna get something. So anyway, that's my transformation. And you guys, I recently, Marjan has been such a great friend and so supportive. I recently had another flare up. COVID tested me big time. It was like, I learned so much this year, what I'm made of, like what my body can handle, stress markers, so much knowledge. And just trying to find answers, and not only for myself, but for others as well. Because if I'm suffering from this, it's gotta be like millions of us out there. And I was so excited that I wanted to like share this with the world. But recently I had another flare up. It was pretty bad. And it was basically, I'm going to sum it up to, I started to compromise the promises that I made to myself. And once I did that, the evidence of how powerful these foods was undeniable. And when I went back on them, I lost 9 pounds in 6 days of inflammation. And it's just, there's no greater like testimony or example of how healing food can be than that, at least for me. Thanks, guys.
Wow. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
So thank you so very much. We love you so much. Jay is one of the most beautiful, beautiful people I know. And your share was so powerful and so relatable. And having been on this side of the spectrum as now about to be a doctor, I can completely relate to, kind of being a patient that doesn't feel like their voice is heard, and just know there's people like me in the world that want to change that. There's so many doctors out there that are amazing physicians and they care, and you just gotta come talk to me. I will hook you up with one of them. And so I think that we really need to shift. In med school, when we would have, like club meetings or any kind of incentive review sessions, the food was pizza. And I was like, what? I was always just like, this is so backwards. Like, stop giving me pizza. Don't give me anything, just give me like a couple fruits. And they started to do that a little bit as well. After our exams, we had some oranges and bananas, but of course those were like the last items that people took after an exam. And so I was like, something fundamentally has to shift. We're working on that shift. So thank you, Jay. Thank you for trusting me. And thank you for sharing with this community of people. I promise it's my mission in life to transform things. Don't lose the faith. Also, I have eczema. So I've dealt with eczema my whole life, and you can't really tell because It's what I eat. It's the amount of sleep I'm getting. It's how happy I am. Every time I feel stress coming on, I feel a flare coming on. So, and it's profound how much, what you do in your lifestyle can impact your health and the health of those around you. So that's really what we're up to. And so another thing that we wanted to share with you guys a little bit about is that it's also our mission. I mean, if you could ask me what would be the biggest legacy you could carry out, it wouldn't be being a doctor. Even though I thought it was, and believe it or not, becoming a doctor costs $500,000. Okay. And it costs like I forewent 4 years of my life to just studying all day. So it's a big commitment, but that's not the biggest one I have. The biggest one I have is to make a difference in people's lives, real lasting difference. And so not only in the form of, hey, do you want to buy a power shake? You'll really love it. Yes, I would take a power shake. No, not only in that form, but in the form of, do you want to run with me? Because I'm here for it. I'm here to help you grow. If you're not satisfied at what you're doing, or, hey, as a doctor, I'm not making good money. Let's just be real. I could support the both of us on it. But that's not my game in life. My game in life is to make enough money to where I retire my husband. I get to do the doctor thing when I want to do the doctor thing. And I help people get to that point while doing it. You know what I mean? I help people be like, I'm not doing that job anymore. That job doesn't pay me enough. Because how many of us are in a job that doesn't pay us enough? I mean, I swear being a doctor doesn't pay me enough. But you know what I mean? So that's really what we're here for, is to make that kind of difference in people's lives. So he's going to talk a little bit about what that looks like if you are interested in joining us on this mission.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. That was amazing. Thank you, JL, as well. So like we were saying, we're out to make an impact, and our mission and Purium's mission, the superfoods company that makes these amazing superfoods and that we've partnered up with, is on a mission very similar. We're on a mission to get the world healthy, and their mission, the company's mission, is to end human suffering. And we believe it starts with the food and the food supply. So what we do is we act as the distribution model, and we share these superfoods. So we get to make an impact in our communities, and not only in our communities here, but communities of communities of communities, because it's like the pebble. You throw a pebble in the pond and the ripple just keeps going and going. And it's not only about getting people healthy. It's about health is not just a single dimension. So to be healthy, of course, food, but how are we going to pay for that food? Organic is so expensive right now. So we actually are a network marketing company. We use a network marketing model to basically create income from making an impact in others using these superfoods and using the business model, and really becoming the greatest versions of ourselves and teaching others and coaching others to do the same, and to teach them to do the same to others, so we can have what we really want. Like what we want is really time, freedom to be able to do what we want, and have income coming in so we can do that, and we can be generous with that. Yes. And live like no other. Yes. And that's what Purium has been for us. And that's what Purium can be for anybody. And that's the best part, is that it's your business, and you don't have a boss telling you when to work. You actually get to create your own hours. You can work from your cell phone remotely around the world, wherever you want to be, as long as there's a cell phone or Wi-Fi. And on that note, you have to be hungry, willing, and committed. This isn't all right, this sounds great, let's do it, and not do anything. You have to be committed to what you do, and you have to have a why, a strong why that's going to drive you in the morning to go out and do what needs to be done to create a business that's actually going to make a difference.
Can I share my why really quick?
Yes.
Okay, so one thing I want to say is that I asked myself, and I invite you to ask yourself this question before I even joined network marketing. I have another network marketing business that's been pretty, it's been doing really well, so lucrative for sure. So I asked myself, what would I do if money wasn't an object? And what I would do is I would literally pick up my life, and I'd go to countries that have poor healthcare, poor sanitation, poor food, and I would devote myself to making a difference in the lives of those people and bringing them the good food, and maybe creating a hospital out there and bringing other doctors in on this mission. Because if money wasn't an object, I can do that. I can pour it into the world. And that's really, really what my why is, for sure. But as a doctor that's only a doctor here in the US, I can't contribute that way. You know what I mean? I'm totally bogged down by my responsibilities here. But if money wasn't an object, that is what I would do. That fuels my soul. You'd probably take surfboards to South and Central America and just hand them out to all the kids that he goes and sees these kids. They ride surfboards on wooden planks, and they ride better than some of the surfers I've seen here. Yeah. So I invite you to ask yourself, what would I do if money wasn't an object? And if that question is, if that like fuels your soul, then maybe, you know, really do consider taking on an opportunity like this.
Yeah. And, you know, one thing is really, I really want to drive this home is that this, you know, it takes time and it takes dedication. And what I love about it is that you can work your business part-time as you have your full-time job. That's what I do right now. I'm a full-time teacher and I'm working part-time on my Fortune, you know, my network marketing business. And it allows so much, there's so many different ways that you can do it. And you could do it. You don't just have to be somewhere and just say, okay, I just got to put this much time in, but it does take time. And I would say successful people in this business commit 10 to 15 hours a week working on their business.
And there's no ceiling.
And there is no ceiling. You can make as much or as little as you want, which is amazing. And so just keep that in mind. Like, if you're like, wow, that sounds awesome, you know, like really think about like, okay, am I willing to commit? Because if you're not completely 100% willing to commit, we would recommend just becoming a customer and take in these amazing superfoods for a few months and feel it. And then revisit that when you're actually ready to make the commitment, because it's worth it when you're ready. And, you know, whoever reached out and asked you to be here, they care about you a lot. They love you. That's why they brought you to the Zoom, to share both of these opportunities. And there's two ways that you can support our huge mission. And it's by, both of them are investing in yourself, in your health as a customer, or in your health and as a partner with us to join us and start your own business. And that's how we're going to do this. That's how we're spreading this word. And that's our goal.
So, yes. Yeah. So we're excited. We have a really good question in the chat. I want to make sure to address. Michelle B asked this question: what would you say to someone who is introverted and is considering this business? Michelle, I would say that this business is for everybody. And if they don't think it's for them, there's something there within them that just resists what it's all about. If I were to pick the perfect model for myself, it would be, there would be no ceiling to my income, and I'd be helping everybody that I loved. And if somebody doesn't want to jump on that wagon with me, that's okay. No harm, no foul. But also, you don't have to be super extroverted. I just happen to be. I have friends that are in this business with me and are in the other business that I have with me that are so introverted yet so successful. My recommendation would be, you absolutely can do it. If you want to build a following, if you want support, if you want whatever, it's conversations. It's just being authentically you, having conversations with people and sharing your passion for something. When someone shares their interest and their passion in something, inevitably I go, what are you doing? Where was that you went? That was a really nice picture. And that's all we do these days. We share the movies that we've seen, the restaurants that we've gone to. Where'd you go on vacation? Ooh, where'd you get that coupon? Ooh, where'd you buy that dress? I'm like, I should get a cut for all the things I recommend to people. And there's nothing wrong with that. And anybody that sees something wrong with that, I invite them to look at it a little bit differently, because what could be better than helping your friends grow? What could be better than helping your friends grow while also learning to grow yourself? So there's resources, and it was a very good question. And I'd say that you can be just as successful, if not more. Just stay true to who you are. 100% stay true to who you are, because people just want the authentic you. So if Michelle, you're introverted and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, hi everybody, try these products, you know, that may not be 100% true to you, and they might go like, what's going on over there? But for me, I share all about my life. So this is, you know, it's just kind of the way that I roll. And if you stay true to that, then that's perfect. Jay has a question.
Yes.
She's raising her hand.
Yes, Jay.
Jay, go ahead and unmute yourself.
I just wanted to touch on Michelle's question too. Michelle, sometimes introverts, in my experience, make the best network marketers, because you're not looking for the stage. You're actually listening and absorbing information. And that's the best form of respect that you can give somebody that's actually in need. You know, you're actually taking in the information, and you could give them an honest, educated answer, you know. Usually introverts do a little bit more due diligence in their studies and so forth, because they want to come forth with information that is accurate. You know, they don't want to false lead anybody. We need introverts. We need you, you know, and it's great. You know, we need the one shouting from the rooftop just as much as we need the calm one that's taking it all in, that can see things that sometimes we don't. So, you know, but most definitely. And it's a learned thing, you know. I mean, like speaking for myself, we have been in the public eye most of my life, and having to deal with it. It was, my dad was a great teacher. He, you know, he was the guy that could sell a ketchup popsicle to an guy with white gloves, whatever they say. But it's been a learning, a pivotal learning experience, being able to work with this group of people. And what better environment than people that you can actually trust? These people are mission driven completely, from the top all the way to the bottom, to somebody just starting out. We all felt a calling of some sort. I know that, you know, in my business, it wasn't about, you know, when I signed up because I was so over the moon with the results, and I just wanted to help. I wanted people like, God, if it's this easy, just putting superfood into your diet, even if you don't change anything, to see great change, why isn't everybody doing this? You know? And it's like, that was my thing. So when I come to share, I just come from my space of what I went through, and I know it's going to resonate with somebody. There's always going to be some takeaway, whether it's the exact thing or just something that's kind of like within the realm. But every little bit we do helps. It's all a ripple effect. So yeah, introverts, welcome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Jay. Absolutely. We 100% agree with that statement. So, Michelle, if you have any questions, you can always reach out to us again. There was one other thing I wanted to say, and it had to do with, and you get to pick who you work with. In what industry do you get to pick who you work with? So I think that's really special. I get to work with my husband, who's in a completely different field than I'm in. He's in teaching, and I'm in medicine, and we get to work together. And, you know, when we have our kids, we're going to teach them, like, here's the value of the dollar. You know, you don't get everything free in life, which is a very different concept than what I grew up in. So I just think it's all so wonderful. And if you have any questions, I invite you to send us a message or ask them now. Otherwise, we just want to express our sincere gratitude for your presence and for your time. We value your time so very much, and for listening to us and trusting us. And do you have anything to add, husband?
No, thank you so much. We're just, you know, we're very grateful and very blessed. And, you know, if you want to type a question or something in the chat, we'll hang out for you know, maybe a few more minutes. I know your time is valuable, and just reach out to the person that invited you here, and they can get you started with anything or answer any questions, or we can answer questions too. So thank you very much.
Have a good night, you guys.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
For coming on.
Take care.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jay.
Thank you so much, team. Beautiful.
Thank
Yeah, good
you.
to see
Thank you
you,
for being
Marcel.
here.
Peace.
Thanks, guys.
For sure.
You guys look
Thanks,
great.
Tina. Thanks, Vivian.
Thanks for stopping by.
Bye-bye.
You guys did a great
You
job.
guys did great.
Thank you. So good to see you.
Cool. You guys have a good evening.
You too. Hi, Matthew.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks for hopping on,
Thank
brother.
you, guys. Thanks, Gavin.
You guys are doing great.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
Genesis, thanks for coming out, Genesis. Gavin's working back there.
Thank you, Peter. I don't think we know Peter. Nice to
Yeah.
meet you. Thanks for being here. Jesse,
Jesse
Arlene,
Z.
Liz, Haley. We appreciate you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much for stopping by. You guys have a beautiful evening.
Okay. Take care, everybody.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
We'll see you later.